Like George said, this is the first time I present this paper, and we haven't submitted this paper yet, and we are about to finish. So I would be glad to hear your feedbacks or your comments. Okay, let's begin. The title of our paper is Strategic Pricing and Investment in Environmental Quality by an Incumbent Facing a Greenwasher Entrant, which is a joint work with Arka Muherje and George Zakur. Sorry. To begin with, what is greenwashing? It is the act of positively projecting a firm's environmental performance when it is not up to the mark. And it can be in different forms. For example, there can be different examples to greenwashing. For example, maybe you have already heard about Volkswagen's false claims about its low emission environmental friendly cars, and since they acted against the rules and they actively tried to cover the environmental impact of their products, they got punished from the governments and they paid huge amounts of penalty for that action. But in some cases, it is not that obvious. For example, fast fashion and bottled water companies claims that they are green in their some product segments, but still, since they are only their very existence is against the environment. For example, fast fashion and promotes to use the product less. So even if some products are produced with green processes, its existence is against environmental objectives. The same is true for the bottled water industry. And there can be different forms of greenwashing, and TerraChoice, which is a green consultancy firm, defines 7 sins of greenwashing. The first one is hidden trade-offs. For example, the firm can advertise its packaging as recyclable, but that recyclable material can be in turn harmful for environment. The second one is no proof, which is self-explanatory. Again, vagueness. Sometimes firms make claims, but it is not very specific what they are saying with those claims. For example, when sometimes they claim that their products are natural or sustainable, but there is no strict definitions of those terms, so they try to manipulate the customer using those vague terms. And sometimes the claims can be irrelevant. For example, if chlorofluorocarbons are banished, so there cannot be any product with chlorofluorocarbons, but still, in order to have a good image, they can say that we don't use chlorofluorocarbons, even if it's not legal. So it's not something they do additional to the regulations, but it is a must. The fifth one is lesser of two evils. The electric car industry can be an example for that. They claim as if electric cars does not have any environmental impact by comparing to the internal combustion engine cars, but still it has some environmental impacts on environmental impacts. And sixth label is worked very extensively in the literature, worshipping false labels, and sometimes in order to trick the customers, firms can create self-labels, and customers may not be very proficient to distinguish between rigorous environmental labels from the self-labels, so that they can trick the customers. And lastly, fibbing, which is intentionally trying to create mechanism to trick customers, for like in Volkswagen case. So firms create mechanism to hide their environmental impact and they just lie about their processes. So as you can see, there can be different ways of greenwashing, and some of them can be easy to regulate by the governments, but some of them is hard. Some of them are hard to regulate, and in that case, the punishment of the customers in the presence of those greenwashing activities exposed is the mechanism to demotivate the firms by doing those. And we will continue with those cases. So we will not assume, we will not investigate a market with penalties. We will investigate a market with customer punishment. There has been some papers who investigated greenwashing and pricing, but they do not consider competition in the first stream. And the second stream of papers investigated the impact of the competition between green and brown firms. But the brown firms in these papers are not lying about their environmental performance. They are just not green, but they don't claim to be green. And last stream of papers are the ones who are more closer to our paper, and they investigate competition between a green and greenwasher firm. We differentiate from this literature by investigating competition between green and greenwasher firms in the existence of experience effect. So we assume that if a customer purchased the product in the previous periods, they are more they are able to distinguish between true green and greenwasher firms. And we also allow the firms to make investments in true green quality and greenwashing. So in this paper, we are going to answer those research questions. The first one is, under what conditions is it profitable for the entrant to greenwash? What are the effects of greenwashing on the incumbent, the entrant, and the consumers? And lastly, how do the equilibrium outcome change with the incumbents overlooking the entrant's greenwashing activities? So we assume that at the base model that the incumbent firm knows that the entrant might greenwash, and in the with this third research question, we are investigating what would happen if the incumbent doesn't realize the entrant can greenwash. Let's define our model. The market consists of an incumbent and an entrant. The incumbent is a green firm and a monopoly in the first period. The entrant is a greenwasher and competes with the incumbent in the second period. Demand increases with environmental quality as expected and with greenwashing. But still, the firms should invest on environmental quality and greenwashing activities to enhance their demand. So there needs to be an investment, and there are costs, quadratic costs related to those investments. For simplicity, we assume that cost structure of the incumbent and entrants for the true environmental quality investments are identical, and we assume for simplicity, not to overcrowd our model with parameters, we assume that K and M are equal to 0 and C is less than 0. Not 0. K and M are equal to 1 and C is less than 1. And we assume that C is less than 1 because there should be an advantage of greenwashing against true environmental quality to engage in greenwashing. Demand increases with the price and decreases with the price and increases with the competitor's price, which is a very common assumption in the literature. And we assume that we include experience effect by assuming only the inexperienced consumers, which are the ones 1 minus D1, can be lured by greenwashing. So you can see that impact. So even though whole consumers are valuing through environmental quality, only the ones who have not purchased the product in the first period are impacted by greenwashing. We assume that the market potential is equal to 1, and in the second period, the market potential shared between the incumbent and entrant, and the rates of entrants' market share is less than the incumbents. And we assume that the beta cross price elasticity is less than 1. As I already mentioned, we don't account for an government penalty for greenwashing activities, and we are taking the consumers' punishments. So we assume that the entrant loses its credibility if greenwashing activities are exposed. So what do we mean by that? If the greenwashing activities are exposed, the rate of demand increase becomes gamma EL, which is a lower value. Otherwise, it is gamma EH. And if the entrant does not greenwash, the rate of demand increase for the entrant is with one probability equal to gamma EH. Here are the problems of the firms. So let me show you the term 1 minus D1, which will be a very important factor in the entrance decisions about greenwashing, which is P1 minus gamma 1 Q1. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that, but we assume that the incumbent make his environmental quality investment in the first period and can carry that environmental quality to the second period, but the entrant makes her environmental quality investment and greenwashing advertisement investment in the second period. Let's begin our analytical results by presenting best response functions. This will be an important relationship while investigating further, because as you can see, PI, the price of incumbents, and QE and GE, which are the quality of entrant and greenwashing of entrant, are only dependent on price of the entrant. So there is not a direct connection between PI and QE, GE. So everything will be transferred via the price of the entrant. Our first proposition is about the impact of first period decisions P1 and Q1 on the second period decisions and outcomes. If the entrant does not greenwash, then the second period prices are independent of P1, because without the experienced effect, there is no effect of the first period price in the second period. But still, there is an effect of Q1 on second period decisions, and the price of second periods increases with Q1, because with Q1, with an increase in Q1, the price of the incumbent increases, and thanks to that increase, thanks to the competitor's price increase, entrant's price can increase too. And similarly, if the entrant does not greenwash, then the second period profits are increasing in Q1 and independent of P1, which is a direct result of price increases in the second period. If the entrant greenwashes, then the prices, both prices are increasing in P1, because with P1, the rate of experienced customers decreases, which allows the entrant to make more investment on greenwashing, and which in results makes price increase in the entrance price increase, and indirectly it increases the price of the incumbent as well. The effects of Q1 on the second period decisions are not that straightforward. The price and quality of the entrant can increase or decrease with respect to Q1, because there is a conflicting effect of Q1 on those variables. With an increase in Q1, the price of incumbent increases, which makes PE to increase. But with an increase in Q1, rate of experienced customers decreases, so that there is less effect of greenwashing, so which makes price decrease, and so the change in the price and the environmental quality investment is dependent on this threshold. And as you can see, it is not surprising to see the effect on the price, but it allows us to observe true environmental quality to increase with Q1. And as expected, the price of the incumbent increases with first period quality, and greenwashing decreases with the quality of the incumbent. Even though the analytical results allows PI can decrease with Q1 because of a decrease in the entrance price, it is not possible with a reasonable parameter set. So it is only possible if the cost of greenwashing and cross price elasticity is too high, unreasonably high. So we can simply assume that if we keep the parameters in reasonable range, PI only increases with Q1. The second proposition is about the comparison between greenwashing prices and not greenwashing prices. And we see that if the rate of demand increase is less than that square root of X value, the prices are increasing with greenwashing. What is that X value? It is simply summation of the coefficient of environmental quality, which is 1, because it is not dependent on experience effect. And since the cost coefficient of true environmental quality is 1, it is simply equals to 1. But for the greenwashing, X value increases with inexperienced customers and decreases with cost of greenwashing. So if the market situation is available for is very suitable for the greenwashing activities, we may see an increase in the prices with greenwashing. So this ratio, the coefficient for the greenwashing, we also see that in the next proposition. The entrance environmental quality investment is higher in the greenwashing setting if that value is higher than the threshold. As you can see, as the rate of inexperienced customers increase, the greenwashing activities of the entrant may have positive impact on true environmental quality too. But that value should be sufficiently high so that the loss in the demand increase rate can be compensated. Even though it is a very strict constraint, it is hard to observe. It's a interesting news about greenwashing. So there is a case where greenwashing also helps environmental quality investments. The entrant benefit from greenwashing if the greenwashing price is sufficiently larger than not greenwashing price, but we can further investigate that relationship if we rearrange the terms. It turns into this equation where you can see Kn and Kg values. So Kn being bigger than Kg does not guarantee greenwashing to be profitable, but we may make comments that if Kn gets bigger, it is more likely to see greenwashing. If Kg gets smaller, we are likely to see greenwashing. So we can see the impact of parameters on greenwashing strategy of the entrant. So we see that with an increase in probability of getting caught, which is R, if that increases, the possibility of greenwashing to be profitable gets smaller, as expected. Again, if the rate of inexperienced customers gets larger, it is more likely to see greenwashing. And similarly, with R, if the cost coefficient of greenwashing increases, which makes this term smaller and makes greenwashing not profitable. The next part of that proposition is that if the price of the entrant is higher than price of the entrant under greenwashing scenario is higher than under not greenwashing scenario, then the incumbent second period profit is larger when the entrant greenwashes than when it does not. Then it does not. This is simply is that result of cross price elasticity. So since the firms are competing in prices, if the price of the entrants increases regardless of the reason, the incumbent benefits from that. And last analytical proposition of us is that the incumbent's first period price is higher in the greenwashing setting. And it shows that the incumbent creates an environment which is hospitable for greenwashing activities of the entrant. So by an increase in price, the incumbent decreases the number of experienced customers. Let's move on to numerical results to visualize and validate our analytical findings. Let's begin with the incumbent's first period decisions, which are the left top graphs. As we have already shown analytically, sorry about that. These graphs gives us the difference between greenwashing entrants versus not greenwashing entrants. So this figures shows us how does greenwashing of entrants change the equilibrium outcome. Sorry about that, I forgot to tell that. And as you can see, the incumbent's first period price increases with greenwashing. This region shows us the greenwashing is profitable for the entrant. Even though it is not always the case, for this base parameter set, we see a decrease in the environmental quality of the incumbent, which is also making greenwashing possible for the entrant. As I said, there can be cases greenwashing helps environmental quality investments, whereas it is very unlikely to observe that case. So we see a sudden decrease in the environmental quality if the entrants engage in greenwashing activities. So the entrants substitutes the environmental quality investments with greenwashing because it is cost efficient compared to true environmental quality investments. Sometimes So the entrant can benefit from this greenwashing activities in two ways. With greenwashing, the entrant may increase its product's perceived environmental value by overstating the environmental quality, or the perceived quality might decrease with greenwashing, but instead of environmental quality, the entrant might greenwash. So sometimes the entrants benefit from greenwashing by cost cuts, not increase in the revenues. So, but in our base parameter set, we see a revenue increase strategy for the entrant, and we see a price increase with greenwashing. So it is a sign of perceived value increase for the entrant with the greenwashing. For incumbent second period price, we have two factors in action for that. The incumbent's environmental quality and the entrant's second period price. So in this case, the decrease in the environmental quality investments dominates the increase in the entrant's second period price. So the prices of the incumbent decreases in the second period. The incumbent benefits from its opponent's greenwashing activities by cutting costs, not by increasing revenues. And we see a profit increase in profit increase for the incumbent. So this is a proof for incumbent to create a hospitable environment for greenwashing. Even though the one who greenwashes is the entrant, we can observe that in some cases the entrant might lose profits by greenwashing activities. So the reason behind that, as you can see, the incumbent changes the first period decision significantly on the border to make the environment is ready for greenwashing. But those significant changes might cause a loss in the profit for the entrant. So the entrants cannot avoid greenwashing because of the actions of the incumbent, but in turn loses money. And lastly, since the customers are tricked to buy falsely overvalued products, they are the definite loser of these actions. So consumers never benefit from greenwashing in any case. Let's move on to our third research questions. What happens if the incumbent does not know about the entrant's greenwashing activities? So in that case, we assume that the incumbent makes the first period decisions without knowing greenwashing activities of the entrant, but realizes at the beginning of the second period and adjusts its second period actions accordingly. But still, the most significant decisions they are deciding the rate of experienced customers have already been decided before the realization of greenwashing. So in this figure, we show the entrance greenwashing strategy, the change in the entrance greenwashing strategy if the incumbent overlooks greenwashing. GG represents the region where the entrant sticks to greenwashing with or without overlooking. In the NN region, the entrant sticks to not greenwashing regardless of information structure. But in the GM region, if the incumbent does not know about greenwashing, the entrant switches to not greenwashing scenario. So this region is the most interesting part in our analysis. So in this green region, if the incumbent does not know about greenwashing, then the entrant does not greenwash. And we see its impact on the equilibrium outcome in these figures, and in that GN region, the change in the equilibrium outcome is very significant, and we see a significant increase in environmental quality because the entrant does not greenwash, so does not switch from environmental quality to greenwashing. And since the entrant does not greenwash in that region, we see a decrease, very straightforward decrease in entrants' greenwashing activities. And even though it is not obvious, there is a change in these regions, these GG regions, which is parallel to the change in GN region. But the rate of change is very small compared to GN region, so it's not seeable in these figures. Let's move back on the incumbent's first period decisions. As you can see, if the incumbent does not know about greenwashing activities of the entrant, the incumbent cannot create and cannot adjust its actions. So without overlooking, the price in the first period is less and the quality of the incumbent is higher. So it is beneficial for the customers, but it is, as you can guess, it is not good for greenwashing activities of the entrant. Without these adjustments, since the environmental quality of incumbent is higher, we see a price increase in the incumbent's second period price, whereas since the perceived value of entrant decreases, even though there is an increase in environmental quality, the decrease in greenwashing cannot be compensated with the increase in environmental quality investments, so that we see a decrease in the entrant's second period prices. And the lack of information costs the incumbent, so that he cannot benefit from the opponent's greenwashing activities, and he cannot create a hospitable environment to flourish greenwashing, so that he loses an opportunity to free ride on greenwashing. And like I said, in this region, we see a sudden change. And we see that the entrant only benefits from this overlooking if she avoids being channeled to greenwashing. So we see a profit increase in GN region for the entrant, because in that region, as I already said, the incumbent was pushing entrant for greenwashing. So without that push, entrant's profit can increase. But the entrant prefers an incumbent to know about greenwashing activities if she is going to stick to greenwashing in either case. So the entrant prefers incumbent to know greenwashing activities if she does, regardless of the actions. And lastly, we see an increase in consumer surplus, which is very significant in the GN region, because in that case, they escape from greenwashing. But even if there is greenwashing, they can benefit from this overlooking thanks to lower prices in the first period and higher quality in the incumbents' higher environmental quality. To conclude, we found that the incumbents create an appropriate environment for greenwashing by increasing P1 and decreasing Q1. In some cases, that can cause the entrant to lose profit, which is, I'm repeating myself, but which is a very interesting result. The region where greenwashing is profitable shrinks if the incumbent overlooks greenwashing. The environmental quality investments of the two firms usually decrease with greenwashing. Consumer surplus always decreases with greenwashing. And lastly, the environmental and environment and consumers better off if greenwashing is overlooked. Thank you for listening.